Okay then, welcome to this edition of the Native News Update. I'm your host for today's program, Paul DeMain. Many of the stories right here can also be found at our website at indiancountrynews.com, or check out our television station site at indiancountrytv.com, where they're still doing a little bit of live streaming from the Bad River Chippewa Reservation and the Great Lakes Indian Fish and Wildlife Commission's 25th anniversary celebration. Here are the news stories for the day from the Associated Press and other Native news sources. Some tribal governments, cities, and nonprofits owe $4.4 million in unpaid payroll taxes and penalties to the Internal Revenue Service, according to a new state report from Alaska. One nonprofit, the Anaik-based Kuskokwim Native Association, owes $2.6 million. The Division of Community and Regional Affairs has said. The association's finance director, Samantha Gunas, said Anchorage Daily News told the Anchorage Daily News it has been struggling for years to pay its bills. It's now negotiating a payment plan with the Internal Revenue Service. At issue is the part of each employee's paycheck that the employer takes out for income taxes, Social Security, and Medicare. That money is supposed to go to the federal government right away. When it doesn't, the IRS comes calling. The state agency tracks the IRS payroll tax liens. For small cities trying to fix past mistakes, the debt can snowball into a mountain of interest and penalties. The tax trouble can also keep nonprofits from getting grants and employees and individuals from earning credit toward their Social Security benefits. The Bureau of Indian Affairs has delayed for another 60 days its long-stalled decision over whether to grant federal recognition to the landless mountain tribe there called the Little Shell Tribe. The roughly 4,300 members of the Little Shell Tribe of Chippewa Indians are officially recognized by the state of Montana, but have been unsuccessful in their decades-long fight for federal acknowledgement. The last delay, announced this week, was needed to continue a legal review of the tribe's case, according to a letter from Acting Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs, George Scabine. Little Shell Chairman John Sinclair said the delay was disappointing but not surprising given the federal government's rigid recognition process. South Dakota needs to finish the job of getting rid of offensive names for creeks, lakes, gulches, and other places because those old names cause hurt to Native American women and black people, according to American Indian activist Betty Aim Gross of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Gross said she was surprised to learn that the state's renaming effort had stalled, so she was asked the legislature for some help. At her urging, lawmakers this year passed a measure that continues the process of changing offensive names, which include the terms Negro and Squaw. If people hear about the name changes, they will be less likely to use the offensive terms in their own speech, according to Gross. At the age of 4, Karen Hardenbrook wanted to be an American Indian. A Methodist preacher and his wife had adopted her when she was just 4 months old. Growing up in Broken Bow, the young woman knew nothing about her real parents. But when a preschool teacher asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, Hardenbrook fashioned a hat out of a paper. She says, "What I wanted to be when I grew up was an Indian," she said, "so I made a chief's hat." As she grew older, she began wearing moccasins and putting her hair in braids and told strangers she met she was Native. At the age of 21, she proved her suspicions right. Looking at her own adoption record, she learned her biological mother was an Omaha tribal member. A week later, she met the Omaha grandmother who had prayed for her to return. A week after that, she met her birth mother for the first time. That was some 31 years ago. Now, recently, in September of last year, 13th, she moved to Watt Hill on the reservation to help take care of her ailing mother. President Obama today named 16 recipients of the 2009 Presidential Medal of Freedom, America's highest civilian honor. The Medal of Freedom is awarded to individuals who make an especially meritorious contribution to the security of the national interests of the United States, world peace, culture, or other significant public or private endeavors. This year's awardees were chosen for their work as agents of change. Among their many accomplishments in fields ranging from sports and art to science and medicine to politics and public policy, these men and women have changed the world for the better. They have blazed trails and broken down barriers. They have discovered new theories, launched new initiatives, and opened minds to new possibilities. Amongst those individuals who have received the 2009 Presidential Medal of Freedom are Joe Medicine Crow, also known as Highbird. Dr. Joe Medicine Crow is the last living Plains Indian war chief, is the author of Native American History and Culture. He is the last person alive to have received direct oral testimony from a participant in the Battle of the Little Bighorn. His grandfather was a scout for General George Armstrong Custer. A veteran of World War II, Medicine Crow accomplished during the war all of the 4 tasks required to become a war chief, including stealing 50 Nazi SS horses from a German camp. Medicine Crow was the first member of his tribe to attend college, receiving his master's degree in anthropology in 1939, and continues to lecture at universities and notable institutions like the United Nations and other parts of the world. And that is the latest roundup of news from Indian Country on this edition of the Native News Update. We want to thank our underwriters for helping us with this broadcast and you for returning to view another edition. Miigwech.